Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review, where we are exploring teas, admiring teas, learning a little bit more about how to prepare teas, especially if loose leaf teas, you feel that green bag teas are a little too bland, a little too boring. You may want to expand, explore, get into more of the loose leaf teas. Lots more flavor, a lot more character trapped in those leaves, and definitely worth exploring. So that's what we're doing here today. We're looking at some of the best, we're finding the best teas, loose leaf teas available. We're going to see if this one is in that category. This is a WenShanBaoZhong, a Taiwanese style tea. And we're going to get out our basic kind of standard tea equipment that we use, because it gives us a consistent cup and tasting experience. We've got our water that's been brought to a boil. And it's been cooling for about a minute, I guess now, just off the boil. But with a WenShanBaoZhong of this type, you do want something. You don't want to put too warm, too hot of water on it. So this should be a good temperature. I'm putting in enough of the WenShanBaoZhong that I'm covering the bottom of my gaiwan. This is about a 4-ounce gaiwan. Gaiwan being Chinese name for a covered bowl. And so I'm going to put in my water. I'm going to make sure that it kind of swirls around and really coats those leaves to unlock all the flavor components there. That looks good. I actually have a little bit of foam, bubbles kind of floating on top, so I'm going to just kind of scrape those off. There we go. Now I can put my lid on. It's resting on there, and the water has risen above the rim to create a seal, which is also good. There we go. Set that aside. Let me get this water a little bit further away so I don't bump into that. And I'm going to be able to talk about this tea. This is from Naivetea. This is as we said, their WenShanBaoZhong. Baozhong, if I remember correctly, means the wrapped kind. One of the traditional old style processes for this tea involved wrapping the tea in paper to help I believe it was to help actually dry the leaves or keep them dry. Okay, but this particular tea from Naivetea is based in California, and they do travel back to China and source their teas directly from small, local handcrafted farmers who handcraft their teas. This particular tea, 1 ounce, available for $12. You can also find information on their website, their product page. This tea was grown in Pinglin, which is in the northern part of Taiwan, and the elevation of over 2,000 feet. You actually have information on the varietal, the kind of tea bush, the kind of leaf that was used to create this, and that is the Qing Xin. Literally, that translates as something as green heart varietal. Okay, and we're going to be able to go ahead and explore this tea, get a little bit more information about it from our own sensory experience here. One, I'm getting first the nice aromas, a sweet aroma, actually only slightly woody, but leaning over more towards the floral. There's something, traditionally these are known to have kind of an orchid type, can have kind of an orchid type smell, but this is more of a kind of a woody floral. So I'm thinking some of the things that come to mind, like a magnolia, something a little bit a heavier tree type flower. It's coming off of here. So if I had to pick two right off the top of my head, I'm going to go with a little bit of orchid, and I'm going to go with a little bit of magnolia in there. So it's sweet, it's heavy, it's pungent, so it's good quality there. The leaves themselves, they're not wrapped into tightly wadded like paper wads, like other Taiwanese style, like a dongding, some of your li shan, ali shans. These are more lightly wrapped. They've gone through a much lighter oxidation process, less heat as far as a roasting process. So you're getting leaves that have been done, less has been done to them, is what I'm trying to say. You're getting blue-green or green-blue type colors. You're getting wrapped. They're getting wrapped kind of along the, or twisted or crinkled along the main middle vein of the leaf. So you've got the leaves here that are 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 2+ inches in some cases. So you're getting some vibrant. They do have some brightness, some kind of sheen to them. So they do have some the potential for lots of oils, which means, you know, flavor components in this tea. So let's go ahead and see if that holds true when we pour this tea and then taste it and look at the leaves. I'm going to angle my lid. I just broke the seal. You can feel a little bit of suction on there. But I'm going to angle my lid over to the side and kind of push the leaves away from my pouring area. That looks good, and be able to touch grab it like that. So I've got my middle finger and thumb on the highest, you know, edge of that rim there. Index finger holding my lid in place, and I'm going to pour as quickly as I can, just like so. Baozhongs like this are often tastier. They have a stronger flavor component after they've cooled. So it's a positive. This kind of tea can be valuable or very. It can be worthwhile to do as a cold brew, or let this cool for a few seconds before you really give it a good sip. So we'll let it cool for just a moment as we talk about this wet leaf here. Okay, there's something coming out here that's a little bit of lima bean, a little bit of sweet, fresh lima bean. That's probably the major component. Something that's a light spinachy. It's got a little bit more of a creaminess to it than compared to some others, which to my nose announces creamed spinach. So those are probably the two dominant components, is that kind of lima bean, a little creamed spinach, and if there's any floral component, so just a pinch of that orchid coming out at this point. So let's look at these leaves and get those, get a few of those out. Here's a leaf that is intact. This leaf is looking nice. It's fairly solid. Not a lot of holes or damage to this leaf. Smaller leaf, but it's a nice full size there. Nice rich. Still blue-green in color. It's lightened up. It's got a little more of a vibrant green to it than it had in the dry leaf form. Okay, here's another leaf. Because these were crinkled, they're not gonna, they're not gonna hold as much. They're gonna unfurl fat more quickly. Here's another piece here. Nice. You could tell this was a good sized leaf, and as I kind of pull at this leaf, quite a bit of resiliency here. I mean, there's some good resiliency. I mean, it's not thick, heavy, yet it still doesn't tear that easily. It still takes a little bit of force to really pull that thing apart. So we've got a nice leaf that was sturdy, was treated well, but is not thick and heavy either. Okay, so just one more of those just to kind of show that, and we'll put that away. And we can move on to our liquor. It's had a chance to cool, and it's got a nice bright. It's one of the brighter, more vibrant colors that I've seen. It's not. It's a light. I mean, it's this pale-ish yellow. Okay. We did steep it a little bit heavier for a little bit longer than maybe recommended by some, but of course I do that to bring out the positives and the negatives, to show what the potential pluses and minuses of this tea. Really give it a full test drive, so to speak. So let's give this let me give it a sniff though. Now, I mean, you're getting a little bit of that kind of some of those components that I find with Lishan or Alishan. A little bit of like a graham cracker, just a light very faint, not as much as you'd get from a dongding or something like that. And just a hint of pear juice, a hint of pear juice. Baozhongs are not going to be as brothy or creamy as a Lishan or an Alishan, not intended to be. On the other hand, you don't want watery, and this one is not watery. This one is very light broth. That's the best way to put it. It doesn't get this watery, mineral-y type feel in it. It stays lightly smooth, so that's a positive note. Okay. Aromas that come off of this, again, more subtle than a lot of your other high mountain oolongs from Taiwan. Still picking up a little bit of that graham cracker, light on that pear aspect, pear juice note, pear skin. I'll put that in there. Something like that. Astringency, if there's any astringency, okay, one, I should say it's light, very light astringency. And the astringency actually works for this tea, especially after you swallow. Gives the tongue this kind of powdery feel, as if a light, cooling powder has been sprinkled on your tongue. So it's got a nice sensation. The aftertaste, although it's light, although it's mild, it is consistent, it is smooth, and it is extended. I still feel this kind of, it's a lightly starchy, as if you've eaten a pear and you're crunched on. It's a nice crunchy pear, and it gives a light kind of starchy feel, starchy yet sweet feel in the back of your, especially actually inside of your jaw. Lower part of your mouth, under your tongue, that area. Tanginess is building up right there. So that's a nice welcome note. It gives this tea a little bit of nuance, gives it a little bit more character. Anything else to note about this tea? Yeah, we talked about the highlights, and when I look at this tea as a whole, I'm going to give this tea a high score because it brings out a lot of compliments. Actually, let me taste this one more time, just because I want to get another sense as it's cooled a little bit more. Yes, as it is cooler, the aromas, the flavors are picking up. It does have, it's getting a little bit more of that light graham cracker with pear juice that's still coming out, becoming more prominent. Again, probably good. I would expect this would also be good as a cold brewed type tea. So looking at this tea as a whole, I'm going to give this tea a pretty high score, probably a 91. Like I said, it's got great character. It's got just the right amount of astringency that comes out later and really kind of blends it, rounds out, works well with the aftertaste, as we said, that's extended with flavor components that rise up as it cools. Just overall quite good. Come back and join me at Walker Tea Review, where you can learn more about this tea, about the overall tea experience, and more about just great natural teas.